Hello everyone and welcome to Benchwarmers, where it's a North Dakota high school sports takeover. You'll hear from some of your favorite athletes and coaches over the next half hour. We'll meet up with a kindred lineman that's bound for the Big Ten. Find out what Riley Sunram has been doing over the summer to prepare himself for his senior year. Plus, she's a 1,000-point scorer and a former state tournament MVP. All this before her sophomore year. Minot standout basketball player Maggie Fricke stops by the studio to chat about her Majet squad, recruiting, and her busy AAU schedule. But we begin with two of my good pals and media cohorts, Mr. Brad Anderson from 740 The Fan and Chase Miller of Your Live Event. Guys, thanks for coming on. And we got plenty of topics to discuss. We'll get to the three-class basketball discussion later in the show. That almost deserves its own segment. But we're going to hear from some of the head coaches, and I want to get your reaction from that as well. I wanted to start with glancing back, though, at some of the top storylines from this past season. Let's go with football. Best storyline from football, Brad? What would you say?
I think it probably happened in the last month, but what Shanley did in a pretty wide-open class, which is now 3A again, but 11 AA, but they started scoring points at a rapid-fire pace, and that offense was a treat to watch. To go out to Mandan to win like they did, to when Cheyenne got beat, that maybe opened the door for them a little bit, and they took it to Century in the Dakota Bowl. But that run, I mean, with Rosberg and all the weapons he had, and they took full advantage of them. It was fun to watch.
Very explosive offense. Chase, how about for you?
Yeah, for me, it probably was the 11B championship game between Central Cass and alongside with Velva. Either one of those two teams had a storyline ending for what had the Squirrels had to do every game to go on the road to get to the Dakota Bowl, while on the opposite side for the Aggies, last swan song for Coach Sandy, goal line stand, wins a state title. You couldn't write it up better for a Hollywood script, so I would say for the Aggies, for them to win that state championship would probably be that. And I think to play Brad's point, Bismarck Century as an 8 seed to go to Davies, to go to Cheyenne, to find a way to still make it to the Dakota Bowl even after the first 6 games probably for Coach Wingenbach wasn't very good. So I would say that's 1A and 1B for me.
The way that they started out the year is like, what is up with the Century squad? Are they going to even make the state tournament at some point? And they go on that big run. Very impressive. Well, there are a number of head coaches that have won recent state championships that won't be in those sports anymore. Dan Smeeker at St. Mary's is retiring after 45 years as head coach. Scott Olson from Hillsborough Central Valley, well, he's now on the staff at Mayville State. And then Kindred head coach Matt Crane is the new AD at Bismarck High. 3 very successful head coaches, but obviously, Smeek stands out, right, for his incredible longevity. In your mind, what does he mean to North Dakota high school football? We'll start with you.
Yeah, I think it's a consistent and a constant. So many times that we hear coaches now kind of getting run out because they had a bad season or 2 bad years in a row. It's not maybe what's in the classroom, it's more what's being played on the field for a guy that's been around, as you said, Jody, for 4+ decades. A guy that had, when you look back at some of his years, he had 1 win or 3 wins, but St. Mary's stayed with him, and I think a lot of folks, particularly in the last decade, are going to remember the 2010s Bismarck St. Mary's team that it seemed like every year we're at the Dakota Bowl in some juncture. So for me, patience is a virtue, and it pays off. And for St. Mary's, particularly the latter half of Coach Smeek's career, it definitely paid off.
Yeah, he's one of the best for sure. And already has a field named after him out there before he even was done playing. But now he'll be there as a spectator, and I'm sure you won't be able to keep Smeeks away from the football field for too much. More surprising Class A basketball state championship. Brad, I'll go with you on this one. Fargo North boys or Red River girls? For perspective, Red River girls were picked 7th in the Hoopster preseason poll and won the program's first state title since 1988. The North boys were picked 4th and won the program's first state title since 2006. And the North boys, of course, going with that coaching change, going back to the middle of last year, and Travis Hogue leads into a title.
I think North probably was a year ahead of schedule in winning it. I'm going to go with the Red River girls just because I think that team was Kent Ripplinger was the perfect coach for that team. They just mirrored him so well. They were just very unassuming. They did it with defense. They didn't really knock you out with scoring a lot of points. And with the field they had was trying to get through Century and Minot and Davies and Cheyenne. And it's just quietly, and it's not like they've been consistent for years. I mean, it's not like they just came out of nowhere. They've always been in the hunt in the EDC, just kind of very quietly, and obviously with Jossie Schiller, what she's done, but I thought it was just such an unassuming team to win a state championship, but they did it their way, and they did it their way very well.
Like you mentioned, they went through Minot, they went through Century in that state tournament to win it all, and obviously the Central Cass, built for championships there. They win the boys and the girls state titles. But when we come back, we head down to Kindred to chat with the Vikings standout and future Golden Gopher Riley Sunram. You're watching Benchwarmers on Midco Sports.
Benchwarmers on Midco Sports, presented by Avera Orthopedics, moving you forward.
Welcome back to Benchwarmers, here with Kindred standout lineman Riley Sunram, entering his senior season and is already committed to the University of Minnesota to play for the Golden Gophers. But man, this is where the magic happens. We were just out here, a little bit of summer workouts, running, lifting. What are summers like as you prepare here for your senior year?
Yeah, so Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, we're out here getting some running in, and then we're in the bus barn because our weight room just got taken down for the new addition of the middle school. But Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, we're getting work in out here, and then Sundays we got some extra conditioning and a little bit of offensive install out here too. So getting a lot of work in, but I think we need it for this fall to be where we want to be.
And this is important because it's all about routine for football players. What's your routine like in the summer as you're getting ready? And you have some other things going on with college visits and stuff like that too.
Yeah, so this summer's a little bit easier because I don't have to go to many camps or anything like that, so that's a lot better for me. But yeah, just trying to work out, get to the best I can be, and then helping everyone else out here too. Just trying to be a leader and trying to develop that role as being a leader. So just pushing everyone else too and trying to make everyone each other better. So.
Well, you committed to the University of Minnesota, I think it's about a couple months ago now, and you chose them from 11 offers. I mean, what was that like as you look back on it now? You can kind of reset a little bit, and holy smokes, I had offers from Miami, Kansas, Kansas State. Yeah, I mean, the list goes on. And what's that like as you reflect on it?
Yeah, it's just been a truly awesome experience, just getting to see all those campuses and talk to all those coaches. It's just been awesome. But Minnesota has always been a dream for mine to be there, and then just seeing all their coaches and how well I've been able to get along with them, it's been a perfect fit for me, and it still is a perfect fit, and I've never had that point of regret, or it's just been awesome. I love being a Gopher. So.
And steam has just picked up. I mean, you were there and helping recruit other guys for that program too, just on a visit earlier this month.
Yeah, for sure. We had a couple guys that were uncommitted on that visit, so all the committed guys were trying to push them a little bit, not too much where they got uncomfortable, but we were talking to them and making sure they knew they were comfortable there, and we had 4 commits that weekend and 4 this past weekend, so we know we're doing a little bit of recruiting that's pretty good for us. So.
Now, you're not a small guy by any means, but I know that you want to play at like 300 pounds, and you're still going to have to grow. There's only one way to do it, right?
Yeah.
Is eat a lot. What's that like? What's the eating routine like for Riley Sunram?
Yeah, just kind of getting snacks in all day, because when I work too, it's hard to get those meals in, but all those meals, it's a lot of food, so I love to eat, so I just keep eating and try to maintain my weight goals for where I want to be.
Are there some go-to like slam dunk snacks or meals that are kind of the household things for Riley?
I love chicken and pasta mainly, so if it's chicken and if it's pasta, I mean, I'll eat it. So.
And you said you're working too? You got a job?
Yeah, I'm a nanny actually.
Nanny? Whoa,
Yeah.
Tell us about this. So nannying for a couple of kids? How many kids?
My second cousin's actually, it's 2 boys, so I've been getting I knew them pretty well, and then I helped out last year when my sister was gone because that was her job, so I just helped out, and then she had a different job this year, so I was like, I might as well just step in, just a easy job for me, so that's been fun too.
So what do you do when you're nannying? How do you keep those boys busy? How old are they?
One is going to be a 7th grader, one's going to be a 4th grader, so we just kind of do whatever they want, and I enjoy it too, so it's pretty nice.
You're going to get a lot of attention this year. You got a lot of attention last year. When teams are throwing double teams and stuff like that, what's kind of going through your head? How are you processing this, and maybe what have you learned even from last year?
Yeah, so just stay comfortable, do what I do, and stay true to myself. I know I might be better than a lot of guys, but they're still going to push their hardest and always be their best for me. So I just got to, stay to my true self and just keep pushing and work hard all the time.
Is it kind of flattering sometimes, like, okay, they're double teaming me? When did you kind of realize that, okay, I'm disrupting things and they're going to need to throw extra guys at me?
Yeah, a little bit of that last year happened too. There was one time I was triple teaming. I just, I kept feeling like there's guys coming. I was just like, what's going on? But that helps for everyone else too. Like everyone else will have a one-on-one, so just helping out the team too. Not only it sucks for me, but it's good for everyone else. So.
Biggest thing you're looking forward to your senior year of high school?
Honestly, just enjoying it and get one last year with these guys and just having fun and enjoying my senior year.
From the gridiron to the hardwood, straight ahead on Benchwarmers, hear how basketball coaches across the state are preparing for the new 3-class basketball system. Welcome back to the show. Well, it's been discussed and chatted about for several years, but finally, 3-class basketball has arrived in the state of North Dakota. That means there will obviously be some changes. 18 teams in Class AA, 29 in Class A, just over 70 teams in Class B, a lot of schools impacted, including Wahpeton, where the Huskies go from being one of the smaller schools in that top division, the old Class A, to being one of the biggest in this new division. That'll mean new opponents, for instance, swapping out the Fargo schools for region games against Kindred, Lisbon, and Central Cass, among others. Wahpeton boys basketball head coach Jeff Ralph was one of the coaches we visited with about the changes.
I really believe that middle division is going to be highly competitive, top to bottom. The state tournament, I think that way. You see sometimes the opening round B games, there's some pretty lopsided games, and I think in our division, those opening round state games are all going to be battles when you think about what you have to do to get there. If you don't win the league, then you got to win that game on Saturday to get in, and those are going to be all good teams playing.
I grew up in a small town of Mohall, North Dakota, so way back when I used to play, we were talking about a 3-class system then even. So when you grow up in that small town, you understand where these parents and where the community and where the students are coming from. And I get that side of it. And of course, being rugby, we're bigger, but yet in the big scheme of things, our enrollment's still on the bottom end of that middle tier. I wasn't always a person that was susceptible. I didn't like change much, but I think it's a good thing overall. I think it is going to be a positive thing for our state.
It's going to be a change for a lot of teams. A lot of teams that are used to being the top dog, maybe, fighting a little bit more. Some of those schools that didn't really have an opportunity, those really small schools, all of a sudden have new life. Brad, what have been kind of some of your takeaways from head coaches throughout the summer?
I think some are kind of knew was inevitable. I think some of the Kindreds and Central Cass is new, and I know there's some that are in that rung of A, like the Lisbons and Northern Casses, that aren't real thrilled about it. And there's a lot of Class B schools I think are really looking forward to it. I think you're going to see maybe some rivalries that were decent rivalries that I think will really get ramped up in maybe some of these Class B schools. I was kind of curious to see. I know there was one co-op that split out west, Belfield South Hard, I believe it was. So I was kind of wondering if there'd be more overtime. Maybe there will be more overtime. I guess that's one question I never really. For people that were 3-class advocates, that was a question they never really could answer for me. It was like, how many of these co-ops were going to split up?
I think the main thing with what Brad was saying, having the smaller towns in your respective regions going up against the bigger towns in the respective regions, that they really never had a true chance unless they had back-to-back classes, whether it was a senior, sophomore, or senior juniors that maybe had their one rung. You can look on the east, obviously, the Enderlin Eagles, right, with the Hurlberts and the Bartholomews. They had 2-3 years there to try to get to state, unable to get over Kindred in the final senior season there. But if they would have been in any other region, or maybe in a now 3-class system region, they're probably making their way to a Minot or Jamestown for a state tournament. So that's number one. And I think number two is double headers. Looking at some schedules on the Class B side, they normally don't do a ton of double headers unless it's a region rival or someone. You might see maybe instead of 1, 3, or 4. So you might get to go to a venue and have 2, 3 home double headers. Maybe you're on the road for 2 or 3 of them. So I think that's going to be one for some fans out there. Then at the end of the day, you might see a regular season game early that used to be a region counter that's now not a region counter. So maybe Jody, because he's banged up, or Brad, he's got maybe had a little chicken wing, so to speak, in practice. We're not going to play him because that game doesn't mean as much, kind of like what we saw during the football landscape the last couple years in West Fargo, played a South, or Bismarck High played a Williston. If they're not in the same conference or division, that game doesn't matter nearly as much.
I think you're going to see some things. I think you're going to see a lot of different scheduling. I know, talking to a couple of Class A coaches, they're going to bring some teams from the Twin Cities, or kind of come in and play. They're going to play one team, say, on a Friday night, and play somebody else on a Saturday. Or you might go to the Pentagon and play somebody down in the Sioux Falls area. And I know there's some jamborees in Class A. Devil's Lake's hosting a couple in January that you're going to see some teams that from out west play some teams from the east. So I think there's, from a scheduling standpoint, that's actually one thing I'm really looking forward to, is you're going to see some different matchups, and matchups that weren't really available just because of the schedule restrictions that teams had.
Well, still to come on Benchwarmers, one of the favorites to contend for the new Class AA girls state title will be Minot, of course. One of the stars from that talented squad, Maggie Fricke, checks in with us next. Welcome back to Benchwarmers as we welcome on one of the state's rising stars in high school basketball. She's a two-time All-State pick. She has a state championship under her belt and has already surpassed the 1,000-point milestone. And did we mention she's entering just her sophomore year? It's our pleasure to have on Minot's Maggie Fricke. Maggie, first off, thank you for making the stop here and joining us here in studio.
Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. Well, now it's summertime, and when I was growing up, my summers were all about sleeping in, playing video games, going with friends to the gas station, maybe getting some snacks, some fountain pop. Your summer probably looks different. What have you been up to?
I've been going to the cities mostly every weekend for practice for my AAU team. Tournaments, I've been traveling. We went to Arizona, Virginia. We're going to go to Iowa, Chicago still. Been very busy. It's just been a blast getting to know my new teammates and coaches, so it's been fun.
Like you said, you play AAU ball for a team based down in the Twin Cities, the North Tartan 16U EYBL squad. A couple of fellow North Dakotans on the roster too. Mandan's McKenna Johnson, Horace's Jaden Hale. What's the opportunity like to play for that team, to play AAU ball, especially at that level?
It's like very fast, I would say. And I get to be in these really big tournaments since it's EYBL, Nike, a lot of exposure. And I'm also playing up, so I get to see tough kids. And it also makes me much better. I look up to players, and for practices, we get to practice with the 17s. So I get to kind of see that, and it's a blast. And I think it's really helped me throughout all type of my game.
And your recruitment hasn't slowed down at all. I know Central Michigan just offered late last month, joining UND and NDSU. What are the things that you're learning that, okay, this is a big priority for me when I do eventually go to the next level?
I think just character and player development and getting to know the coaches. Yeah. So and then I also got to keep working on my game. It's a grind, and you never got to stop that. So. Yeah,
for sure. And you're not alone in the recruiting stuff either. I mean, your teammate, close friend that you've grown up with, Lily Bell, kind of on the same road. Both of you are all-state performers the last few years. What's your relationship with Lily like?
It's amazing. It's a bond that I love. We've known each other since kindergarten, been playing with each other, and there's also like competitiveness between us. So like when we're on the court, we're always trying to make each other better. And I love having a girl, same grade, same love for the sport, just to be around.
Well, and I want to chat a little bit about the high school season. I mean, you and Lily have been part of very successful teams of Minot, winning the state championship a couple of years ago. You finished 5th at state this year, so you come up a little bit short. But just looking at the grand scope of high school girls basketball in the state, the amount of talent that there is now, you guys had some really good battles with Red River and Century, two teams that played for the state title. What is it like playing in that competitive and being part of probably the best that North Dakota high school girls basketball has ever been?
It's very special, and I love to see that girls basketball is getting way more competitive and more girls are loving it. And it also is so much fun during high school, getting in close games and just scouting players and being like, yeah, they're good, so I want to stop them. And there's so many great players, and seeing them travel for sports too is just amazing.
Do you have a favorite pro basketball player? WNBA, NBA?
Kelsey Plum is probably a player I really look up to. Like, I try to make my game evolve around her. I love how she uses change of pace, and she's kind of the same height as me, so also makes me look what I can do. So. Well,
maybe we'll see you at that level
hopefully
sometime in the near future. Maggie, we appreciate the time. Keep up the great work and enjoy your summer as well. I know it's busy, but enjoy it.
Thank you.
All right, when we come back on Benchwarmers, Brad and Chase help me close out the show as we offer up our bold predictions for the upcoming high school sports season.
Thanks for watching Benchwarmers, presented by Avera Orthopedics, moving you forward.
Welcome back to Benchwarmers as we finish this show off with one of our favorite segments to do each year. I don't know why I'm saying each year. It's just the second time we've done it. But our bold predictions, because, man, we hit them last year, didn't we? Brad guaranteed a repeat state champ, and we got one in Jamestown. I said Mandan would be the regular season WDA champ. Half credit, maybe. They shared the title with Minot and Legacy, but they did get the highest seed from the West due to their highest QRF score among the West teams. And Chase took a swing at history and hit a home run. Beulah, as we mentioned earlier, delivering for him and winning the state title, the first for a West team in Class B softball. So we went 3 for 3. Something tells me the law of averages are going to humble us maybe this time around. But Brad, what is your bold prediction?
I'm going to stay with the repeat champion thing. I'm going to say we're going to have at least one repeat volleyball champion. I think Northern Cass has enough in the tank, and there's enough with Ellie Lucas and Josie Jensen that there's enough talent there that they might be able to do it again. And I know Cheyenne loses some pieces, but I certainly think they can reload as well. I think one of those two could do it again come November.
There you go.
I'm going to hit the hardcore this time and go with the Grand Forks Central Knights make the state AA boys basketball tournament. First time they've made state since 2006. They're bringing back Eric Pay, the Wilbur brothers, Jack Simmers for Coach Dan Carlson. They've been close the last couple years, getting beat out in that state qualifying game. I think with the seasoning, with these guys having the varsity minutes, with now 9 teams instead of 12 teams, if they can stay healthy, it's going to be very competitive with Claybo, Sem and company in the East. But I think Grand Forks Central, for the first time since 2006, makes it to a state boys basketball tournament.
I'm going to go to the ice for mine, so we're all switching it up. Bismarck Legacy reaches the state championship in boys hockey. Now, the Sabres won the WDA tournament title last year. They took Davies to double overtime in the state quarterfinals. Have a lot of talent back. 4 of their top scorers are expected to return. Their standout goaltender, Tyler Miller, will be a senior this season. I think Legacy, with Mario Lamrou, and now in the 3rd year as a program, will reach the state championship game. If I'm wrong, I'll take a puck off the forehead. We'll see. But that is a wrap for tonight's show. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks to all of our guests, Riley Sunram, Maggie Fricky, these 2 wonderful gentlemen who join us throughout the year as well. And thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your summer.